What's up, y'all? I'm Will here with Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast, one of the highest rated hospitality podcasts in the world, brought to you by us at Schedulefly. We provide a very simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. If you're on pencil and paper or Excel, or you're on some software with tons of bells and whistles and features you don't need or use, Schedulefly is the perfect place for you. Easy to use, point, click, and go, and we'll take great care of you. Schedulefly.com, free trial, check it out. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is a fun episode with Rachel at Bialy's Bagels, and it worked out well. We actually recorded an episode months ago when I was still doing these on my laptop in my house. I thought I had posted it. I hadn't. I wound up losing the file. Long story short, we got to redo it, thankfully. This is a super, super cool story. Rachel and her sister Sarah bought a bagel place in 2017 that had been in their town in Ohio outside of Cleveland for almost 60 years. They're currently about 58 years old. So they took a business that had been there forever, put in new life, new energy, new products, and have built something really, really successful. So this is a fun story, great opportunity to share the story of a wonderful small business, one location, currently just plans to have just one location, and who knows in the future, but we talked about that. So check out this episode and check out more episodes coming soon. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. All right, y'all, check it out. Stick is our sponsor, connectwithstick.com. This is an incredible text and marketing tool. So check this out. Engage your customers, drive foot traffic, and increase sales at your bar, your restaurant, your store with Stick. Your targeted messages reach your audience instantly, promoting special offers and events. Look, 98% of texts are seen within 3 minutes. So this thing is simple and it's effective and it works. Elevate your marketing strategy and watch your customer base grow with the most direct way to connect with your customers through text. Start today and see results on the very first text. Stick is a better way to connect with your customers and the easiest way to increase your sales. www.connectwithstick.com. And again, that's www.connectwithstick.com. Folks, this is an awesome sponsor. It's an awesome business. We at Schedulefly know them well. We know that the results are there. This is a highly effective tool, and it's run by a business run by great people. Check them out, connectwithstick.com. All right, y'all. Well, this is our second attempt at doing this. Rachel and I recorded an episode. It's been several months ago when I was still doing everything on my laptop, and I lost the whole thing. And so we're doing take two here, which will probably is better anyway because we're now out of the studio and we've already had a conversation. So, but I'll have it as if we haven't, and just kind of go through the story of Bialy's Bagels and what her and her sister have done and what they're building and all this stuff. So, Rachel, just do me a favor and introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Rachel, and along with my twin sister Sarah, we own Bialy's Bagels. She is not here with me, but throughout the recording of this podcast, I will most likely speak in we and our. She is who I'm referring to. She prefers to be off camera most of the time. But yeah, we bought Bialy's Bagels in December of 2017. It opened in 1966. It's been in the same location ever since. And it fulfilled really a lifelong dream of ours to open a bagel shop. I was trying to go through sort of like a timeline of how this all happened. And, growing up, we had some maybe not so serious dreams to own a bagel store, but seriously, in about 2012 is when we really pursued the idea of opening our own bagel store. And in the summer of 2017, we were presented with the opportunity to buy this legendary bagel shop that has been serving our community, including us, for so many years. And it was just an opportunity that we we couldn't pass up. And here we are almost at the end of our seventh year as owners of Bialy's.
Um, and what year did you say it opened? So it's been like 60 years?
It's been 58 years,
58 years.
2000 or 1966. So we're almost 2 years away from celebrating 60 years in business.
And they were making bagels in Ohio in 1966?
Yeah, so the story of how the shop opened is that Terry Skolnick, the original owner, was a baker in New York or New Jersey on the East Coast, and was starting a young family and decided to pursue a market that was untapped with bagels. And as I heard the story from his daughter, it was between he ended up deciding between Cleveland and Maryland, and he ended up in Cleveland. And when he arrived in Cleveland, he opened the phone book and looked for a Jewish name in the phone book and called somebody and said, "Hey, I'm new in town and I'm looking to open a bagel shop. Where do you think the best place for it would be?" And they told him University Heights. And that's where he opened in 1966 in what was prior to that a drugstore. And we have customers that come in every single day that have been coming to the shop since it opened for almost 60 years. And a lot of people think that maybe my sister and I are connected to the original family. We are not. The story of how that came to be was through a friend of our dad's playing tennis with the daughter of the original owner who was running it along with her husband. And that was in the summer of 2017. And she said to our dad's friend while they were playing tennis, I own this bagel shop and I'm just really trying to sell it. And our dad's friend said, "Well, what's the name of the bagel shop?" And because the previous owners kept really to themselves and people didn't really know who the owners or
Mm.
operators were at that time. And when she said Bialy's, her jaw hit the floor because, as I said earlier, the shop was legendary. And she said, I think I know just the people. And she introduced us and we, started negotiating a deal to purchase the bagel store that summer and closed the deal in December of 2017, that same year.
So, so you're coming up on 7 years as owners. So, last time we tried this, you did the episode. It was just you, and this time it's just you. And you said, so Sarah's a little bit more behind the scenes, but you are identical twins. So you're fraternal twins. Okay, got it. So, okay, so you've got the more extroverted personality. I'm going to take it of the two.
Definitely.
And then do y'all have balancing skill sets in running the business? Like, do you focus on certain areas more than she does? And
Yeah, I think we do. She's definitely the more like get things done kind of person, and I'm more of the like space cadet. Oh, I'll get to it eventually. So she is definitely in charge of more of like the logistical and back end stuff. Like she's good at doing the schedules. She's good at paying the bills. She's good at managing payroll and managing new staff and stuff like that. And I am more of the hands-on, like I like to have my hands in the bagel dough. And I like to interact with the customers. She is totally willing. She will be on the line in a rush if needed, but she has the ability to let the frustrated customers frustrate her a lot more easily than I do.
well, that's an important part of that because that can be very challenging. If you let that stuff seep in and sink in, it can cause a lot of stress. And yeah, um, okay. Let's go back. So this place opens up 58 years ago there in Ohio, and what is the name of the town?
University Heights, we're about 15 or 20 minutes exactly due east of the heart of downtown Cleveland.
Downtown Cleveland. Yeah, so you're up there in sort of northern Ohio. Okay. Um, the original owners uh, had this thing going for a while, and then the daughter took over the business.
It was really supposed to be the son. And at the time, the daughter's husband, maybe then at the time, I don't even know, boyfriend, but son-in-law of the original owner was working at the bagel shop alongside his brother-in-law. And his brother-in-law, the son of the original owner, I think was really supposed to be the next generation. Unfortunately, he had some struggles and sort of left very unexpectedly. And overnight, this I think is like between 1997 and 2000, maybe 2001, the son-in-law became in charge.
Okay.
And I think that was really hard. He, I think, maybe enjoyed working at the bagel shop with his family and like doing the family business thing, but I don't think had any intention of ever being the top dog and in charge and managing the staff and all of that. His wife, at the time, since Bialy's opened and up until when my sister took over, we had a very large wholesale business. So she did a lot of managing that from the back end at her house. She wasn't working on an, in an office that could pop in and help at the shop. She was really hands off.
Gotcha.
She did do important things behind the scene at home. But anyways, he got stuck running the shop. And I think, I think it was evident to a lot of the members of the community that by 10 years in of that, by 2012, 2013, 2014, we could all sort of start to see his disinterest. And, I think he was working himself to death and he was really overwhelmed, and the quality of the bagels, I think, were starting to decline. And, yeah, and their children weren't interested in any way, shape, or form. So I really do believe that had my sister and I not come in, maybe something else would have happened to it, but I don't think it would have stayed the same little locally owned corner bagel shop.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it sounds like a perfect timing. It was meant to be. And y'all were, so when you, prior to buying Bialy's, what were y'all doing?
We were doing a whole host of things. I had graduated from Ohio University with a degree in Spanish and Spanish education, and was after I graduated in 2007, actively pursuing the idea of being a Spanish teacher. Sarah took a little bit longer to get through college. The summer we graduated high school, our brother passed away, and I was able to start school right away. Sarah, it took her some time to get going, and she graduated in May of 2011. So between my graduation and her graduation, I was pursuing education. And when she graduated, she knew that she didn't really want to work for anybody else. And in 1990, our uncle opened a bagel store in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, that our brother did his senior project at in 2001. And when he came home from that, there was this small little chatter amongst the three of us, like, we really need to bring a bagel shop like Uncle Danny's back to Cleveland. They made bagel sandwiches. Our bagel shop, Bialy's, didn't slice, didn't toast. You could only get a bagel or 5 dozen bagels to go.
Okay.
And then our brother passed away, and I went to school and tried to become a Spanish teacher, and she went to school for business at Cleveland State. She decided after graduation that she did not want to work for anybody. She wants to be the boss. And that's when we really seriously started talking about pursuing the idea of bagels. And wait, I made a note here. Let me see if I can find it. In the fall of 2012, I interviewed for my dream teaching position. teaching elementary Spanish at my elementary school, and I didn't get the job. And that's when my sister and I decided to go down to North Carolina and seriously study the art of bagel making in Winston-Salem at our uncle's bagel store.
What's his bagel store called?
So he sold it, but the bagel shop is still there. It's called the Bagel Station,
Okay, but he sold it.
and he sold it. They have two locations. Um, one is right near UNC, I think. Not UNC, Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, yeah, in Winston. So they're both in Winston?
Yeah, they're both in Winston. At the time our brother did his senior project there, they were also in Kernersville
Mm-hmm.
and Clemens.
Okay.
And yeah, but at the time he sold it, they had two locations, both in Winston-Salem, one on Oakwood Drive and one on maybe Robin Hood.
Okay.
I don't know if that's right, but and they are both still around. He has retired to Denver. He was an anesthesiologist and couldn't get a bagel on the way to the hospital, and that's why he opened a bagel store.
Oh, really?
So he and still is a totally hands-on type of person. So if a piece of equipment went down at the bagel shop, he was the first person that people called. But otherwise, he ate the bagels and paid the bills, but he didn't work at the
Yeah.
bagel shop.
Gotcha.
And we grew up visiting there and loving it, and loving to see behind the scenes. And yeah, and then in 2012 is when the fall of 2012 is when we spent really only, in retrospect, not a whole lot of time. I think we spent 6 weeks at the bagel shop learning to bake, learning to make bagels, not learning to serve customers. Sarah and I have always had jobs in the service industry, but serving customers, and that's when we really seriously started to pursue the idea of opening our own bagel shop and starting from scratch and growing it organically. And then I took a job at Jenny's Ice Creams.
Hmm.
And
That started up near you, right?
in Columbus.
In Columbus. Okay.
Which is like a couple hours south of
Yeah.
us. And Jenny came up to Cleveland for a staff meeting, and I brought her bagels, probably from Bialy's. Honestly, I don't even remember. But also, I brought some cream cheese that my sister and I were at our uncle's bagel shop. Like most bagel shops, they mix, a big batch of cream cheese into different flavors and repack it to sell. And we played around with a couple really cool and interesting flavors after we got back from the bagel shop in North Carolina, one of which was Parmesan and truffle cream cheese. And I brought that to the staff meeting with Jenny, and Jenny said to me, "Forget bagels. You need to find a way to make this cream cheese from scratch." And somehow we had a friend that had this really awesome connection in the community of a local cheesemaker who had a great connection to a not local, but Southern Ohio local creamery to get the milk and cream from. And we started making and selling at farmers markets fresh cream cheese from whole milk and heavy cream.
Oof.
And that we finally launched in 2014. And we got to a spot with the cream cheese that we felt like if we didn't have the bagels to pair it with, it wasn't worth continuing to pursue. And so we kind of like put that on hold, and we were still actively pursuing real estate for our own bagel shop up until that moment we talked about earlier on the tennis court, when we were presented with an opportunity to buy Bialy's, and making the cheese wasn't really the right fit for this bagel shop. But
Well,
yeah.
did you, but you bought a bagel shop that just sold the bagels, or sold a bagels in volume, but they weren't doing what your uncle was doing, which is making bagel sandwiches. And so you had to convert. I mean, you changed the business a lot, it sounds like.
We kept it. It was very important to us to keep it to the same at the very beginning. And so we didn't really make any changes. But then in September of 2019, so like a year and a half after we bought the shop, the space directly adjacent to us became available for lease. And we jumped on leasing it knowing that we wanted to expand to doing bagel sandwiches. But then something happened in March of 2020 that really threw a wrench in that project. But as of August 30th, 2023, we now do slice and toast and spread and sell bagel sandwiches.
So you were okay. So that caused one heck of it. So you obviously COVID hits, so y'all didn't move forward with that extra space.
Honestly, didn't start the project immediately because we were waiting on the landlord to redo the roof.
Oh, okay.
And that ended up happening after COVID in May of 2020.
Okay, gotcha. So so just for almost coming up on a year now, you've used that space so you're now providing a whole new menu.
We started the project in the construction started in February of 2023. And yeah, we're just coming up almost on a year of selling sandwiches.
Now, and you're making so is this cream cheese that you were talking about, the truffle, like, do you make that there in the store?
So we do have a Parmesan and truffle flavored cream cheese. We the original creamery that we were making cream cheese at before we bought the bagel shop was no longer available to us when we took over the bagel shop. So from the day we took over the bagel shop, knowing that we were hoping to launch sandwiches one day, I scoured the internet trying to find somebody who could make us fresh cream cheese. And probably in 2021, I found somebody and she brought us a few samples of a plain base cream cheese. And we were really excited about it. And she hung around and waited for us. And when we started selling sandwiches back in August of 23, we were using her fresh local cream cheese and mixing different flavors into it. We got so many complaints about this cheese.
Really?
And it just, we, it was really frustrating, but also I think Sarah and I knew all along that we were just hanging on to the idea of having fresh cream cheese because nobody else is doing that. And it didn't live up to this cream cheese we had been making prior in any way, shape, or form. And we went with it because we were holding on to that idea of the fresh cheese. And we knew, especially as the complaints started to roll in, that it was not the right thing. So we reached out to we have a great relationship with the woman who was making the cheese. I have nothing but incredible things to say about her. And I sent her a message asking to see if we could tweak the recipe. And her response back was that she was actually getting ready to shut down her operation in like 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And that's when Sarah and I finally had like a light bulb go off to kind of tell us to put the fresh cream cheese aside. We'll buy cream cheese in bulk from one of our ingredient distributors. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And now we have a lot of the flavors that we used to make. We make something called a dilly ranch cream cheese, and we do the Parmesan and truffle and a brown sugar cinnamon. And yeah, so we do still have the Parmesan and truffle cream cheese. It's not that really incredible fresh cream cheese that we were making, but
That's harder than I would have expected. I don't know. So do you think y'all will eventually long term go back to making your own fresh cream cheese, or is it just too much to try to do that and run the bagel business? And
I think at this point it feels like too much. It would be have to be if we were going to do it at our own creamery, it would have to be really separate from the bagels because the dairy regulations are really, really strict, and rightfully so. We don't want anything, anybody to get sick from something that we're making. But Also, I think the hardest part about making fresh cream cheese is that the cream portion of the ratio is so high, and good quality, fresh local cream is really hard to come by because the byproduct of making us heavy cream is skim milk or I think skim milk, and dairies can't move enough skim milk to make it worth making the cream.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some places that we could buy enough cream in bulk, but at that point, I think it sort of loses the art of it being a local product.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Check it out. Stick is our sponsor, connectwithstick.com. This is an incredible text and marketing tool. So check this out. Engage your customers, drive foot traffic, and increase sales at your bar, your restaurant, your store with Stick. Your targeted messages reach your audience instantly, promoting special offers and events. Look, 98% of texts are seen within 3 minutes. So this thing is simple and it's effective and it works. Elevate your marketing strategy and watch your customer base grow with the most direct way to connect with your customers through text. Start today and see results on the very first text. Stick is a better way to connect with your customers and the easiest way to increase your sales. www.connectwithstick.com. And again, that's www.connectwithstick.com. Folks, this is an awesome sponsor. It's an awesome business. We at Schedulefly know them well. We know that the results are there. This is a highly effective tool, and it's run by a business run by great people. Check them out, connectwithstick.com. That's interesting. So, okay. I didn't realize this. I don't even like it's the having fresh cream cheese part of this business model. This is very educational to me. I would have thought that there's a lot of bagel places that make their own cream cheese, and that's clearly not the case. And it may be state dependent on the regulations or whatever, but that's a
Probably not, because the cream cheese making process, the way we did it at least, was like a 5 day, it takes 5 days from the time you pour the milk and cream into the pasteurizer to the time you have cream cheese, was like a 5 day project. So most bagel shops that you walk into that have tubs of cream cheese that they're selling with different flavors, at our uncle's bagel store in North Carolina, they bought 5 pound blocks of cream cheese and threw it into a stand mixer and mixed different flavors into it. At Bialy's, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, heart of the Bible Belt,
hmm.
University Heights, Ohio, heart of the Jewish community in Cleveland. We buy it in 30-pound blocks, and we go through, 8 or 10 of those a week.
Oh wow, that's a lot of volume.
Yeah.
So
Sort of, it does really bum me out to say, but we don't have any plans in the future to try and regenerate the fresh cream cheese, because we make so much of it. I mean, we're yeah, with the cream cheese itself is already made, and we can barely keep up with mixing it into flavors and packing enough, let alone having to also make the cheese.
yeah, for sure. Um, okay, fair enough. That's quite fascinating. I did not realize all this. I love this. It's making me think somebody near you needs to figure out how to start their own cream cheese business and just sell it all to you. Yep.
I think it'll start with, I've said this to Sarah 1,000 times. We need to buy our own herd of cows.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Um, okay, well, this is cool. So then, what was it about? I know Sarah didn't want to work for somebody, which I 100% relate to. Did y'all? Did you know for a long time that you wanted to do something together as sisters, or did this just kind of sort of happen?
I think it sort of happened when our brother died.
That yeah, that would make sense. That really,
Yeah.
because now you've got just each other and you both share this really traumatic, devastating family event, probably brought y'all even closer together.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Well, how is it, like you've been doing this for 7 years, just about. What's do you all look out over the next 3, 5, 10 years and think about where we want to take this thing, or is it more just we're just kind of each day we're blocking and tackling and figuring out how to make this thing hum?
Definitely day by day. We've never been real great at like looking into the future. I think even though we feel really successful in what we're doing and we love what we're doing, I'm going to be 100% honest, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And to think we get emails once a week, are you going to open on this side of town, are you going to open on that side of town, come here, come. and and we see other businesses doing that all the time, and every time somebody else does it we go, how do they do that? we we I we have our hands, plenty full, and we just take it day by day.
I listen, that's awesome. I mean, if you're working hard, you love what you do, you've got plenty on your plate, um, you're not constantly feeling like, well, we need to grow because of this, that, or the other. That's cool. You'll grow if you grow. You'll grow when whatever the day is comes. Where we're like, okay, like maybe now's the time. Um, and by the way, just know that if y'all ever do start thinking seriously about that, I'm sure you have plenty of good peers and friends and resources there. But we have tons of people, at Schedulefly that are our customers there and then all over the place that have gone through a lot of this. And I'm always super happy to put you in connection with some folks that would say, like, we were at one location for this long. We finally went to two. Here were the growing pains. Here's the advice I have for you. Here's what we learned. We have so many good people that would certainly love to, give you advice or whatever. Just keep that in your back pocket if you ever, want to make that call. We love connecting, our customers that have done things with customers that are trying to do those things. Yeah,
And I definitely keep that in mind.
for sure. For sure. So, uh, how many are y'all open 7 days a week? Yeah.
We are now only open 5 days a
Good
week.
for you.
And it's actually becomes a point of contention between my sister and I recently. Often she really thinks we should reopen on Tuesdays. We're closed Monday, Tuesday. And I can never pronounce this word correctly, but vehemently opposed,
Vehemently, yeah.
vehemently opposed to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no problem telling my customers the reason that we're closed 2 days a week is because on Tuesdays, even though we're not open, we still have to come into work and make bagel dough. It is a quieter day. It is an easier day. It's not as early of a start day, but we still come into work on Tuesdays. And on Mondays, we have a true day off. And if we reopen on Tuesdays, we have to come in on Mondays. And even though it's an easier day, we lose our one true day off that we get to do things like schedule podcast recordings.
Right,
And,
right. Yeah.
and there's this, we've been needing a ceiling repair at the bagel shop for a long time now. And they're at the shop doing that now because we're not there making bagel dough. And I think that preserving that our one real true day off, even though sometimes it involves doing some things for, letting in somebody to repair something at the shop or whatever, that's really important to me to maintain.
I admire that, and I urge you to hold the line on that. I think that's first of all, it tells customers that you have something you stand for, and I think people admire that and they like that. Um, we, gosh, you look at somebody like Chick-fil-A who does not open on Sundays, and if they open on Sundays, I mean, and they do so much revenue 6 days a week. If they open on Sundays, that you people think, God, look how much they could do. Yeah, but the lack of opening Sunday creates more demand that gets packed into this shorter period. Their numbers probably really wouldn't change if they did it on Sunday because less people would be going on Saturday going, well, we got to go because it's the last. I think it's awesome, and people want to be a part of something where somebody's has a line and they say this is important and we're not going to sacrifice everything just for an extra buck or whatever. And I think that's a really important part of finding balance for yourself, for your team, giving everybody that day. It matters. It probably helps you. It's probably one of the reasons of many reasons, but probably one of the reasons you are able to attract and keep good people on your team because, you say, look, like this is our line and we're sticking to this. And that's important to a lot of people.
Sunday is the busiest day of the week, so that gives everybody, a chance to catch their breath after
Hmm.
working their butts off Sunday morning.
Well,
Yeah.
Sarah, if you're listening, I haven't talked to you. You're awesome, but I'm going to have to take your side. I'm going to take Rachel's side on this one for whatever that's worth. Not that it's worth anything, but I'm with you. I like that. So, well, tell me about like what I'm going to ask some real stupid, or like real basic questions, and then to give you,
Remember, I was an educator. There are no stupid questions.
I've eaten plenty of bagels, of course. But I grew up in Charlotte, not far down the road from Winston-Salem, and when I was, I think maybe 10 or 11 years old. Well, this is a while ago, right? I'm 49 now, so I'm dating myself. This has been a while, but I remember getting on an airplane and we were going somewhere, and they served bagels, and there was this thing that was sliced in half, and I thought it was again, I was like 10 or 11. I was like, oh, it's a donut. I wonder why they sliced it. So I put it back. I put the two pieces together, and they had like cream cheese and butter. I'm like, well, why do they have that? And I took a bite, and I'm like, and it was just like a plain bagel. I'm like, ugh, this is the worst donut I've ever had. I didn't even know what a bagel was. Like I had no clue, right? So this is in like maybe I was born in 74, so let's call it 85, 86-ish. Now, obviously, bagels are ubiquitous everywhere, even in the deep South. But I still don't know. I know a good bagel when I eat a good bagel, but I don't know what goes into making a good bagel. Like what's like how do you like what is the essence of like making a really good quality fresh bagel?
Fresh bagel dough, number one. I think I have a lot of people. If you ask me what's the difference between Bialy's bagels and Bruegger's bagels, it's that our dough is made fresh in house,
Okay.
and Bruegger's bagels is made in a commissary. Last I knew in Pennsylvania, and could sit frozen, raw frozen in Pennsylvania for 6 months before it reaches the local Bruegger's. And people, I tell people Bruegger's doesn't make their bagel dough in house, and they say, well, yes, they do. I watch them make them, and I say, no, you watch them thaw them in the boiling kettle and then bake them in the oven, but the dough is 6 months old.
Mm.
And our bagel dough is not. We do freeze some of our bagel dough. We have like two distinct types of bagel dough. Water dough, which makes plain poppy, sesame, onion, garlic, salt. Mishmash is what we call our everything bagel. Asiago and rosemary sea salt. And then we have our flavored doughs, which are just a little slightly different recipe, which the raisin, the cinnamon raisin, a cinnamon blueberry, a cinnamon apple, wheat, rye, pumpernickel. And so some of those flavored doughs we make in a batch of about 300 300 bagels. The water dough we make in a batch of 1,000 bagels. And the flavor doughs move quickly enough, but not quickly enough to stay in the walk-in cooler. So they do get frozen, but they're never frozen for longer than, usually about 5 days.
Okay.
And so that's the first part. Step number one is that the dough is made fresh. And New Yorkers love to say that you can't make a New York style bagel without the water. Like if you're going to open a bagel shop somewhere, you have to import your water from New York. Respectfully, at Bialy's Bagels, we disagree because we boil our bagels in Cleveland water, and we. It's been a very long time since I've been to New York. I have not been to New York since I actively, really, truly started pursuing bagels. But we get New Yorkers that come into our bagel shop on a regular basis that tell us they prefer our bagels over the bagels they get in New York. I am only playing the messenger here. But
Well, maybe the
yeah, so,
Cleveland water is even better than the New York water. Do y'all oh, go ahead.
so boiling the bagels is an integral part of the crust. Like that creates the crust, and baking them on a burlap. The oven, the bagels get, after they come out of the kettle, we put them on these burlap boards. So it's like a metal, aluminum piece that's covered in a strap of burlap, and the bagels go onto that board and into the oven for one rotation, and then they get flipped off that burlap board onto the stone bagel shelf, and it creates
Magic.
an epic bagel.
um, do you focus primarily on just quality of product and quality of customer service and what's going on inside your four walls, or do y'all do a lot of social media or advertising, or how do you attract people to come in? I know once they come, they have a great experience and they probably want to come back. I'm assuming there's a lot of word of mouth, but like, how do you keep people? How do you get the word out?
Service excellence is definitely really important to us, along with product quality. Um, the previous owners were doing no advertising, no social media, no technology in any way, shape, or form. When Sarah and I took over, we launched a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Um, that's really as far as our social media goes, and we don't have a social media position at the company. So Sarah and I run it, and we don't have like a calendar that we follow. Sometimes we make, 2 posts a week. Sometimes goes 2 weeks and we're like, oh, we haven't posted anything on social media. There's um nothing really consistent about it. The one thing that I've always said about the original owner really is that he created this incredibly loyal customer base that we luckily don't really have to do any advertising. Every once in a while somebody reaches out and says, hey, we want to write a story, and so we get some publicity that way. But we really we like to do things for the community. So we do, bagels are very easy for us to donate. So we donate bagels to, as many causes as we can. We get lots of requests for that. And truthfully, they're always like, make sure you put stuff in that we can put on our tables, a sign or a pens or stickers. And half the time we forget to even do that. But yeah, I think, yeah, they created this loyal customer base that has just been passed on from generation to generation in Cleveland. We are definitely one of a few places that when people come home for the holidays and they haven't been back to Cleveland in a year or two, Bialy's is, top on their list of places to visit.
It's a staple as an institution. Well, you've probably got third generation family members coming in at this point if it's been there that long. I would imagine, maybe even fourth. So, uh, you mentioned. By the way, how did you come across Schedulefly? Had you used like somewhere else? I can't remember how y'all knew about us. Oh, at Jenny's. Okay, yeah,
Jenny's was the first place, the only place besides at our bagel shop now, yeah, that we used it, and it just felt so brilliant to me. I don't know, it was probably like 2011, and my really my only other like industry job before that I worked a long time was at a local breakfast joint, actually in the same little town that Jenny's is in. And they were sort of similar to Bialy's, the lack of technology,
sure.
a paper schedule and a binder that you checked when you were working. And the electronic schedule was so brilliant to me. And and then I had one other restaurant job that used hot schedules, and I just was so stuck on schedule fly. It's like this, I hate this hot schedule stuff. Yeah.
The ease of use and usability has been a big advantage for us over some of those other ones, for sure. And you went to school at Miami of Ohio, right? Right.
Ohio University.
Ohio. Where is Ohio University?
In Athens, Ohio.
In Athens, Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking
Athens, like southeast. I think Oxford is more
it's
southwest.
Southwest. Yep, it is.
Yeah. And Athens is southeast.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Um, I was wondering because we have this. So would that mean Miami of Ohio is like your big rival?
OU is like in general not a sport. Like I mean, they have a football team and a basketball team, and they've ever done, but Ohio State is the big,
That's the big, yeah, right.
yeah. And yeah, I guess there's a rival between OU and Oxford, but
Not like Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's huge.
right. And OU and Miami of Ohio are much smaller schools than Ohio State and U of M.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just was wondering because, um, first of all, my stepmom went to Miami of Ohio, and then we have this customer there called Brick Street, which is like this like legendary like nightlife bar. Was like the place there. So I was just curious. I thought you had been there. I was just wondering if you had ever gone to Brick Street. But so okay, well, y'all have built. I say built something awesome because you took something and you've transformed it, and you've really built it into your version of this iconic institution that's been there forever, and you've managed to add to the way it operates and add all these different products that you're able to offer your customers now. You've kept people that have been coming to this place for their entire life as customer, and you've added new ones, and it's exhausting and tiring and taxing, I know, but I know you'll also love what you do so much, and it's very clear to me talking to you. I can hear this, and you should be so proud, you and your sister and your team, of what you've done with this place that Cleveland, or your town wants to have and has had and wants to keep. Like, it would have been I feel like it's a travesty when a great business over time, maybe it passes to the next generation or it gets sold to a new owner and it just loses all of this great appeal that it had, and maybe eventually goes out of business, which it sounds like could have been where this thing would have gone had y'all not come in. So what a wonderful opportunity for your town and for your team and for y'all to take something and just, re-energize it into something that's just incredible. And every day is continuing to just grow and take great care of the people in your community. And you clearly have a lot of pride in what you do, as you should. And I appreciate the opportunity to wrap with you today, Rachel, and learn quite a bit about cream cheese and bagels. And this was a lot of fun, and I thank you for it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell Sarah hello. And again, she's awesome. I'm going to take your side on the Tuesday thing, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just it's an opinion. But no, but seriously, no joking, or jokes aside, y'all should be real proud of what you're doing. And please tell your team hello. And I hope that at some point, whenever I can get up anywhere towards the Cleveland area, I'm going to come have one of these bagels because I've just and hang out with your team because it seems like a great place.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good rest of your Tuesday off, and we'll talk again soon. Hey, y'all! Before you dial out, just a quick request: if you are listening to this podcast on iTunes, if you would give us a star rating and a comment, it would be so helpful. If you're on Spotify, if you'd follow us or whatever platform you're on, if there's a rating or a follow, please do that. What that does is it tells these algorithms to put this content in front of more people that are looking for this type of content. So if you enjoy the episode, please do that. Thank you so much for listening to Restaurant Owners Uncorked or watching on YouTube. We appreciate you. We're proud to be able to do this, and we're just going to keep putting out great content, y'all. So stay tuned. Thank you.